Only one major college football team finished the year 12-0. 3 of its players won first-team All-America honors, won the coveted Heisman Trophy. It was a team that won the Orange Bowl, the Lambert Trophy, and finished its 3rd unbeaten season in 6 years. Its coach called it the best all-around team we've ever had at Penn State.
This football team had everything you'd want in a great team. Poise, it had tremendous balance, it had people who thoroughly liked each other, who were willing to make great sacrifices for the good of each other and for the good of the team. It had one of the great runners of all time, fine quarterbacking, great pass receiving, an outstanding offensive line, mobile, active, alert, defensive team that was aggressive at all times. And this is by far the best football team I've seen in the 24 years I've been at Penn State, and I think it's #1 in my books.
And this is the story of 1973, a perfect season. An intriguing question as the season opened at Stanford. What about the quarterback situation? Could inexperienced Tom Schumann be good enough, early enough? Joe Paterno didn't have long to wait for an answer. Schumann ran the team like a veteran. Eleven pass completions, no interceptions, and 1 touchdown to Gary Heyman. Penn State had found another excellent field general. A former quarterback named John Cappelletti wasn't really bidding for Schumann's job when he completed a halfback pass. Cappelletti would prove much more valuable using his legs rather than his arm. Defensively, the Nittany Lions grounded Mike Barilla, everybody's preseason choice for All-America quarterback honors. Number 12 saw nothing but Penn State pressure during a frustrating afternoon. Stanford's total running yardage was -8. Barilla was dropped 7 times, and Jim Bradley's clutch interception helped preserve an impressive 20-6 intersectional win over Stanford in front of a national television audience. Defensive co-captain Randy Crowder appreciated the importance of the opening victory.
Stanford game's first game of the season, and we really hadn't been tested going out to the West Coast. We had to have a good game. You know, we went out there and we played a pretty good game. So, you know, I think that started the season off on a good foot, and we just kept on going the rest of the season.
Navy was next. The Lions' defense was awesome, shutting out Navy and allowing only 2 first downs the entire game. The offense controlled the ball for nearly 3/4 of the contest. Blockers like Charlie Getty knocked people over, and John Cappelletti ran over them for more than 100 yards. Tom Schumann found Gary Heyman a reliable target. And 2 friendly rival coaches settled their first encounter, Penn State 39, Navy nothing. Homecoming at Penn State. The matchless enthusiasm generated by the 2nd largest crowd in Beaver Stadium history inspired the blue and white in their battle with Iowa. The Lions were ready for their home opener. Early in the first period, Gary Heyman rocked the visitors with a 56-yard punt return. It was time to strike. John Cappelletti got the call.
Go! Yes, shoot!
Penn State 7, Iowa nothing. Moments later, Tom Schumann located Chuck Hurd for 6 more points. Schumann fired 3 touchdown passes, including this amazing off-balance toss to Chuck Hurd. And you got the feeling that only the Lion mascot would settle for a low-scoring Penn State victory. Hurd's catch was the 8th scoring pass of his career, en route to breaking the all-time Penn State record. It was now up to the defense. The offense had scored 21 points in 12 minutes, and through the first 3 games was showing as balanced an attack as any Lion team in recent history. Penn State's defenders limited Iowa to a ground game of -4 yards. They sacked the visiting quarterback 10 times. And for the 3rd consecutive week, the first unit defense did not give up a point. The homecoming crowd was happy. Penn State was 3-0. To senior linebacker Tom Hull, it was a tough, muddy game, but worth it. The Air Force Academy was undefeated when Penn State stormed into Falcon Stadium. Tom Schumann continued to gain confidence with each game and marched the Lions on an 85-yard drive. Behind key blocks by Jack Baronis and John Nessel, Schumann and Gary Heyman worked a perfect slant-in pass. This Saturday was a day to remember for Heyman, with 6 catches, 122 yards, and 1 touchdown. Gary was hot. State's defense set up 2 touchdowns, forcing Air Force mistakes. John Quinn and Tom Hull shook this ball loose, and Jim Bradley hugged it. But Bradley's fun was just beginning. A short while later, the junior from Johnstown killed an Air Force drive with an end zone interception. Then, as Jim Bradley encouraged, John Cappelletti converted both defensive gems into touchdowns for a 19-6 victory. It was Penn State's 2nd win on network television in 1973, and the Lions had cleared several major hurdles in their quest of a perfect season. For the next 3 weeks, the blue and white put on an offensive display that would match any 3 consecutive games in Penn State history. Against Syracuse, Army, and West Virginia, the Lions scored 165 points and gave up only 3 touchdowns. In each game, it was the most points a Penn State team had ever scored against that particular team. And backs like Tom Donchez had a field day against 3 traditional rivals. Something unexpected usually happens when Penn State plays Syracuse. Watch Dan Natale get involved in this season's most unusual play. What caught Natale's attention? A loose ball, and number 89 was at the right place at the right time. And the junior tight end ran like the fullback he used to be in Glassport, Pennsylvania. The total yardage of 92 matched the longest gain from scrimmage ever in Penn State football. The Lions' depth proved decisive, as injuries forced them to rely heavily on reserve tailbacks, like Rusty Boyle, number 37. Penn State's defense enjoyed some good old-fashioned body contact, punishing the Syracuse backs and causing 6 turnovers. Randy Crowder got 1. Joe Jackson, number 88, and John Quinn paired up on this one. Linebacker Doug Allen swiped a pass and showed he could break tackles with the best of them. Needless to say, Penn State came out on top of Syracuse. Against Army, the Lions' offensive line showed why it was one of the best in Penn State history, making fullback Bob Nagel's job a lot easier. And giving Tom Schumann time to connect with the fleet Jimmy Scott. 66 yards downfield. The crisp blocking continued a week later as West Virginia suffered its worst defeat ever to Penn State. John Cappelletti bombarded the Mountaineer end zone for 4 touchdowns. And the words Heisman Trophy began to appear in connection with Cappy's name. The offensive line provided Chuck Hurd with time to outrun 2 defenders on a 76-yard beauty from Tom Schumann. The Lions rang up 62 points, while the nation's leading defense against the run limited West Virginia to 0 yards rushing. Greg Buttle's interception climaxed the 18th consecutive year West Virginia has been unable to beat Penn State. The proud Lions were now 7-0. But the toughest part of the schedule was still ahead.
The game I think stands out most in my mind this year is the Maryland football game. It's really the first game this year where we had been down and we were tied at halftime and we were losing at a time, and it took a lot to pull the team together, and we came through and had a great second half, and it really showed we had a good football team, and it was really the start of something great.
Maryland had rebuilt a power. Joe Paterno and his coaching staff knew the Lions would be in for a battle. The opening kickoff set the tempo for a thrilling afternoon. Gary Heyman nearly outran the entire state of Maryland with a 98-yard return. This senior from Newark, Delaware, led the nation in punt returns and averaged nearly 20 yards every time he touched the football. The Lions were proving to be a squad without a major weakness. Even the specialty teams, led by hard hitters like Orsini, Hager, Tessner, Johnson, Acey, Rosecrans, and Hornfeck, created big plays. Quarterback Tom Schumann probed a weakness in the Maryland defense, locating Dan Natale twice for scores. A happy Schumann had audibilized both touchdown passes at the line of scrimmage. But while Penn State scored in the first 30 minutes, so did Maryland. It took a brilliant second-half effort by the Lions' defense to hold the explosive Terps without a point. Jim Bradley and Buddy Ellis both made vital interceptions, and Penn State roared back to tally 20 points in the third period. The Lions played ball control with John Cappelletti carrying a record 37 times for 202 yards. But Penn State's strength was balance, and when the Terps keyed on Cappy, Jimmy Scott worked free for one of the go-ahead touchdowns. The Lions had faced their first real adversity. They showed they could come back and win.
Maryland and North Carolina State, we knew ahead of time that those games were going to be like that. It was back and forth the whole afternoon, and it was the type of game that you like to play in, because if you can stay healthy and stay in there and keep banging away, then you come out ahead. That's a lot more of a good feeling than maybe some other games we've had.
Cappy gained over 200 yards for the second straight week against bowl-bound opposition and was the National Back of the Week. Both teams could score, and nobody could hold the lead. Gary Hayman's leaping catch set up John Cappelletti's second touchdown. With Penn State's third undefeated season in 6 years on the line, Gary Hayman played the finest game of his career. Hayman personally accounted for 235 yards on 6 pass completions and 3 punt returns. This one covered 83 yards, and Doug Allen, number 68, kept pace with Hayman all the way. But whenever the Lions scored, North Carolina State came flying back. For the second week in a row, Cappelletti broke a school durability record, carrying 41 times. And just when the Wolfpack was guessing Cappy, fullback Bob Nagel surprised everyone. Following Nagel's run, it took a fourth quarter 27-yard sprint by Cappelletti to fire the Lions ahead for good. The offense had scored enough points to win. And as Ed O'Neill recalled, the defense stayed tough against the explosive Atlantic Coast champions.
North Carolina State had a real powerful offense, a real big, strong offensive line, and backs to complement their offensive line. Physically, that was the hardest game we'd ever played, and I think they played a much more physical game than Oklahoma did last year even. And just to be able to beat North Carolina State, I think, was a great accomplishment for our defense because of the way they played.
The Lions were assured of their 35th consecutive non-losing season. Orange Bowl officials abounded at Beaver Stadium as Ohio University became victim number 10. Tom Hull led the rugged Penn State defense, blocking this Ohio punt and turning it ever so determinedly into 6 points. John Cappelletti again topped the 200-yard rushing mark and scored 4 touchdowns. Following the victory, the Lions said yes to an Orange Bowl invitation. It was their 5th major bowl bid in 6 years. Yet there still remained one old foe standing between Penn State and a perfect regular season. Pittsburgh led Penn State 13-3 at the half. But the Lions were not to be denied. The defense stopped Pitt, and Bob Nagel powered in to narrow the lead. John Cappelletti clawed and chewed for 161 hard-earned yards, and this go-ahead touchdown. Just as vital to the second half comeback was the defense. Randy Crowder remembers how the Lions turned it around.
Well, I think the second half, we just took it to them. We started taking off on the ball. We stopped worrying about making mistakes. We just started going after them. And that just showed the difference the second half.
Go after them they did in this 8th straight win over Pittsburgh. Chris Devlin, number 66, attacked from the outside. Dave Graff and Randy Crowder sealed off the inside. Ed O'Neill seemed to be everywhere. Mike Hartenstein, Greg Murphy and Tom Hull helped hold Pitt to minus 15 yards total offense in the third period. As Hull scored on an interception, O'Neill celebrated. Penn State tallied 32 unanswered points in that powerful second half. The final three coming on this 45-yard field goal by Chris Barr, who teamed with Brian Masella and John Riener to give the Lions strong kicking throughout the season. It was the wrap-up to a perfect 11-0 regular season, a season that saw Penn State field perhaps its best team ever, and yet a team that played as one, a team as close as any group could be.
One word I think that sticks out most in my mind is togetherness. It's been a team that has taken a lot of pride in knowing each other and playing with each other, and in saying that he is my teammate.
Following the Pitt victory, one of Ed O'Neill's teammates received college football's highest honor.
In all things and in every way, John Cappelletti represents a Heisman Trophy winner. Great athlete, great competitor, great poise, the kind of a guy, as I made a statement, when we were behind against Pittsburgh 13-3 at halftime, and everybody wanted to know if I thought we were in trouble. I said, no, as long as I could get the ball to Cappelletti 20 or 25 times, the second half I knew we would win the football game.
A player wins it as John Cappelletti won it, and all of these others, through the intense competition with other players, the length and the breadth of our country. And he wins it because he puts a little extra effort into the accomplishments for himself, but primarily for his team.
It makes everything I've done all my life worthwhile. For an honor to be stood on a teammate, that I've been with for 4 years. I've been a great part of for the 2 years that he was a running back. John's just been amazing with the awards and has given everybody but himself credit. And he's just done a great job in letting us all enjoy his success.
Mark Markovich, number 54, an academic All-America himself, cleared the path, and John Cappelletti was usually close behind. Number 22 became the most honored player in Penn State history. Heisman Trophy winner, unanimous All-America, Maxwell Trophy winner, and a young man who gained the respect of everyone who came in contact with him.
Heisman Trophy meant a lot to me, but I think that I'll remember my teammates more, and I had a lot of great experiences at Penn State and met a lot of great people, and I think that, if I can continue relationships like that, then that means more to me than anything else.
Cappelletti's senior teammates included first-team All-America tackle Randy Crowder, number 53, one of the finest defensive linemen ever at Penn State. Linebacker Ed O'Neill, number 87, picked off 6 passes in 3 seasons and continued in the tradition of All-America linebackers at Penn State. Senior leadership was a key to the success of this team. Mark Markovich, Charlie Getty, and Phil Laporta in the trenches. Bob Nagel at fullback, and Mike Orsini and Gary Hager on the specialty teams. Gary Heyman led a senior wide receiver corps of Dave Bland, Jimmy Scott, and Chuck Hurd. Defensively, senior Buddy Ellis, number 18, started every Penn State game for 3 years. Linebacker Tom Hull turned several games around with big plays. Safety Scott Mitchell sparked a hard-hitting last line of defense. And Doug Allen won all East honors for his steady play at linebacker. These seniors led Penn State to the final step of a perfect season. For the third time in 6 years, Penn State enjoyed the fun and sun of Miami in the Orange Bowl. Louisiana State was the opponent in this nationally televised New Year's night battle. The Tigers scored first. But the Lions offense struck back swiftly in the second quarter. Tom Schumann to Chuck Hurd with one of the greatest one-handed catches in bowl history. A 72-yard bomb and Hurd's 11th career touchdown catch, an all-time Penn State record. The Orange Bowl echoed with hails to the Lion. Moments later, the nation's leading punt returner, Gary Heyman, again gave State good field position with his specialty. From there, a grinded-out drive ended with John Cappelletti's 30th career touchdown, and Penn State led LSU 16-7. Cappelletti, the senior from Upper Darby, finished the season as the only Lion runner ever to gain more than 1,000 yards twice in a Penn State career. From there on, it was co-captain Ed O'Neill and the Lions' awesome defense that simply wiped out any and all Tiger threats. Inside, Randy Crowder was immovable. Jim Bradley's bone-shaking tackle destroyed an LSU threat as the first half ended. Penn State balance again shaped the outcome as the Nittany Lions outclassed LSU 16-9. Penn State had accomplished it all. A perfect 12-0 season, the best record in the school's history, the best in the country in '73. No matter what is accomplished in 1974, as the quest for #1 continues, Lion fans will always remember 1973. This Penn State team left its mark on college football, and each player overflowed with the pride of a job well done. It was something that each man can take into life, to know that he was part of Penn State and a perfect season.